Scattered across the vast expanse of the former Soviet Union lie ghost towns, vast, eerie settlements frozen in time, abandoned and left to decay. These places were once thriving hubs built for industry, mining, or military purposes, but today many stand deserted with crumbling buildings and haunting silence. What led to their abandonment? What stories do these ghost towns tell about the Soviet era's ambitions and failures? Let's explore their history and the chilling reasons behind their decline. The rise of Soviet industrial towns during the Soviet period, rapid industrialization and resource extraction were key to economic plans. The government established numerous towns dedicated to mining coal, minerals, or extracting oil and gas in remote, often harsh locations. These towns were carefully planned and constructed, with schools, hospitals, theaters, and entire communities of workers and their families. Many of them thrived for decades despite brutal climates and isolation, symbolizing Soviet progress, but few anticipated the vulnerability hidden beneath prosperity. Military and secret towns. Some ghost towns were once secretive military bases, closed cities known only to a few during the Cold War. Built for missile testing, nuclear research, or other classified projects, these towns were highly restricted. When projects ended or secrecy was lifted, these places were abandoned abruptly, leaving structures empty and overgrown. Their isolation, mystery, and sudden disappearance contribute to the eerie aura surrounding them today. Reasons for abandonment: economic decline and resource depletion. Many towns depended heavily on a single resource. When mines ran dry or drilling ceased to be profitable, the economic foundation collapsed. With no jobs or infrastructure investment, populations left for cities or more prosperous regions. Harsh living conditions, the extreme climate, poor infrastructure, and isolation made life difficult. Once the Soviet state subsidies decreased or ended, residents found it almost impossible to continue living there. Political and strategic shifts, changes in strategic priorities or military downsizing led to sudden closures of secret towns and military facilities. Technological and industrial change advances made some towns obsolete, automation reduced the need for large labor forces, or new transport routes bypassed them. Famous examples of Soviet ghost towns: Pyramiden, Svalbard, once a Soviet coal mining settlement on the Norwegian archipelago, abandoned in 1998. Now a frozen museum with authentic Soviet-era buildings and haunting remnants of life. Kadykhin, Russia, built in the 1940s for coal miners, abandoned in the 1990s after mine closures. The town streets and buildings now stand empty amid the Siberian wilderness, with decay slowly reclaiming its spaces. Pripyat, Ukraine, though not strictly Soviet-era, abandoned by government policy but by Chernobyl disaster, quintessential ghost town where life stopped overnight in 1986. Overgrown streets and empty schools tell harsh tales of sudden evacuation and nuclear tragedy. The haunting atmosphere of ghost towns. Walking through these deserted towns, one can feel the weight of history and loss. Faded propaganda posters, empty playgrounds, and silent factories evoke a strange mix of nostalgia and unease. At night, locals and explorers tell stories of shadows, unexplained noises, and an overwhelming feeling that the past still lingers here. Preservation and interest. Today many ghost towns have become destinations for urban explorers, historians, and photographers. Some governments or organizations preserve parts of them as heritage sites or museums, inviting reflection on the Soviet legacy's triumphs and failures. The human stories behind the abandonment. Beyond economic and political reasons, the abandonment of these towns deeply affected their residents. Families forced to leave their homes, schools without children, and empty streets once bustling with life tell heartbreaking personal stories. Some former inhabitants recall the suddenness of evacuation orders or the slow decline of community spirit, while others speak of the haunting silence that replaced everyday noises. These human elements add emotional depth to the cold facts of abandonment. Environmental impact and nature's reclamation. Another fascinating aspect is how nature gradually reclaims these deserted settlements. Forests grow over streets, animals return to areas long disturbed by industry, and weather slowly erodes concrete and steel. This slow transformation creates a stark contrast between human ambition and the resilience of natural forces. Visitors often find an unsettling beauty in this return to wilderness, where past and present collide. Modern revival efforts and tourism. In recent years, some ghost towns have sparked renewed interest as historical and cultural tourism sites. Guided tours, documentaries, and urban exploration thrive, drawing visitors eager to witness remnants of Soviet history firsthand. In select cases, governments or private ventures have initiated partial revivals or preservation projects to maintain these unique windows into the past. Soviet ghost towns stand as silent monuments to a grand but sometimes fragile experiment. Their abandonment reveals complex stories of ambition, economic shifts, human hardship, and political change. Exploring them is both a journey through history and a confrontation with the eerie remnants of a vanished world.